Hello, everyone. Welcome to session three, which is titled Security and Ethics of AI Use. Before we dive in, let's take a quick moment to recap what we covered last session. We explored how AI learns, how it recognizes patterns in data, and how it can process large amounts of information quickly and efficiently. We also talked about its strengths, such as accuracy, consistency, productivity, speed, and its limitations, including bias, over-reliance, and lack of contextual understanding. The key takeaway was that human oversight matters. AI can be a powerful partner, but still needs human judgment to keep it fair, accurate, and responsible. Now, this brings us perfectly to today's topic, security and ethics of AI use. Because once we start using AI tools, whether that's ChatGPT, image generators, or workplace automations, a big question arises. How much can we trust them? This is what we call the trust problem. When we use AI, we are often sharing data, maybe customer details, company information, or even internal documents. But do we know where the data goes? Who can access it or how it's sorted, or how it's stored? And beyond data, there's also the ethical side of trust. Can we trust the output? Is it fair, unbiased, and transparent? So today's session is all about building safe, responsible AI practices. By the end of the session, you'll know how to use safe AI safely in your workplace, protect sensitive and private data, recognize common security risks, and understand the ethical principles that should guide all AI use. When it comes to using AI in the workplace, one of the most important considerations is data privacy. AI tools, especially cloud-based ones, process the information you provide. While these tools can be extremely helpful, they also carry risks, particularly if sensitive or confidential information is shared inappropriately. Understanding what data is safe to share and what is not is essential to protecting your organization, your clients, and yourself. When you share confidential information like personal details, client data, financials, or internal documents with AI, you're essentially giving it a copy of that data, often to a cloud service you don't fully control. Even if the AI doesn't intend to misuse it, that data can be stored, logged, or used for model training, depending on the platform's policies. This opens up multiple risks like unauthorized access if someone hacks the AI platform or the data leaks, sensitive information could be exposed. Inference and reconstruction is another one. AI models can sometimes infer or reconstruct private details from patterns in the data, even if it's anonymized. Sharing protected data like health records, financial information, or personal identifiers can violate privacy laws like GDPR or HIPAA, and a single data breach can erode trust with clients, colleagues, and stakeholders. So, in short, AI doesn't have discretion or judgment. Once sensitive data is shared, you lose control over who can see it or how it's used, which is why caution is essential. So first, let's define what we mean by sensitive information. Sensitive data is any information that, if exposed, could harm individuals, violate privacy laws, or damage the organization's reputation. This includes personal details, financial data, proprietary business information, health records, legal documents, and any other confidential communications. For example, consider personally identifiable information, PII, things like full names, social security numbers, home addresses, phone numbers, or email addresses. Sharing this type of information with AI tools, especially with free or third-party applications, can lead to serious privacy breaches. Even seemingly harmless details like dates of birth combined with job titles can be exploited if combined with other publicly available data. Another category is sensitive corporate data. This includes internal strategies, trade secrets, client lists, or financial forecasts, just any confidential information associated with a particular organization or company. Providing this information to AI tools without proper security measures could inadvertently expose the organization to competitors or even hackers. For instance, using an AI tool to summarize a confidential report or generate a presentation is convenient, but if the tool stores that data externally, it may be retrievable later, posing a real security risk. Health data is another highly sensitive area. For professionals in healthcare or research, sharing patient records or medical histories with AI tools can violate privacy laws like HIPAA, as mentioned. Even anonymized data can sometimes be tracked back to individuals if combined with other data sets, so caution is always necessary. So how do we decide what is safe to share? One helpful principle is if it wouldn't appear in a public document or email, don't share with AI. Treat AI inputs as if you are placing the information on a public bulletin board. If it's sensitive, confidential, or regulated, keep it out. Let's look at a few practical examples of things not to share. Full names and contact details of clients or colleagues, passwords, PINs or login credentials, financial data, bank account information, confidential business strategies or internal reports, medical or personally identifiable health information, and just legal documents that are not meant for public access. Another important point is to recognize unintended data sharing. Even if you don't type sensitive information directly, AI systems can sometimes infer details from context. For example, if you describe a client's situation in detail, even without naming them, the information could still be sensitive. Avoid providing any specifics that could identify individuals, organizations, or proprietary accesses. Practical tips for AI safe AI use in the workplace include anonymizing information. So this is redacting, removing names, addresses, or any identifiers before feeding data into AI. Use hypothetical examples. So when testing or experimenting with AI, create fictional cases that don't involve real people or sensitive informations situations. Check tool policies. Always read the privacy and data handling policies of AI applications before using them, especially cloud-based tools. Some AI services store inputs and outputs to improve their models. There's also limiting sensitive tasks to secure platforms. If your work involves regulated data, only use AI solutions approved by your organization's IT or compliance team. And also just think before you share. Ask yourself, would sharing this information cause harm if it were exposed? If the answer is a clear yes, obviously do not share it. Finally, it's important to recognize that data privacy is a shared responsibility. Organizations should provide clear guidelines for employees on what can and cannot be shared with AI tools, but each individual also needs to exercise judgment. Even one accidental disclosure of sensitive information can have major consequences, from reputational damage to legal liability. By following these principles and being mindful of the type of information you provide to AI tools, you can safely leverage AI's capabilities while protecting both personal and organizational privacy. So now, here's a real-world example that shows just how serious things can get when ethical principles are ignored with artificial intelligence. This is the Cambridge Analytica case, one of the biggest data scandals in history and a turning point in how the world views AI and data ethics. So basically, back in 2016, there was a political consulting firm called Cambridge Analytica, and who worked with data from Facebook to influence major elections, including the US presidential election and the Brexit campaign. So here's what happened. A researcher created a seemingly harmless Facebook personality quiz. When users took the quiz, the app didn't just collect their answers. It quietly gathered all kinds of personal information from their profiles, their likes, interests, location, and even data about their friends. In total, data from over 80 million people was harvested without their consent. That data was then fed into AI models that built psychological profiles of voters, predicting their personality traits, fears, and political leanings. Using these insights, the firm micro-targeted individuals with political ads designed to influence how they felt and ultimately how they voted. What's important to understand is that none of these people had knowingly agreed to this. Their data was taken, analyzed, and used to shape real-world decisions, all behind the scenes, with no transparency or accountability. Ethically, this case raised massive red flags. First, it violated the principle of informed consent, because obviously people didn't know their personal data was being collected and weaponized for political manipulation. Second, it also exposed the danger of opaque algorithms. No one outside the company knew how the AI models worked, what data they relied on, or how accurate or biased their predictions were. And third, it also showed how AI can amplify harm, because when data is misused at scale, it can quietly shape public opinion, erode trust in democratic systems as well. The fallout was huge. Facebook faced billions in fines, and new data protection laws like GDPR became much stricter about how companies handle user data. More importantly, it forced both the public and organizations to rethink a key question. Just because AI can use data in powerful ways, does that mean it should? The lesson here is directly relevant to how we use AI in our own workplaces. Whether we're using AI to analyze customer feedback, generate reports, or assist with hiring, we, as users, have an ethical responsibility to protect people's privacy, be transparent about how data is used, and ensure that AI never crosses the line between helpful and harmful. Because as Cambridge Analytica showed us, when data ethics fail, the impact isn't just technical, it is quite deeply human. So after covering data privacy, the next critical consideration is security risks. Even if we protect sensitive data, AI can still use and introduce vulnerabilities, not just for individuals, but for organizations as well. So being aware of these risks help you use AI safely and maintain trust in your workplace. While protecting sensitive data is one of the most important aspects of AI safety, there are obviously other critical security risks that professionals need to be aware. So these risks arise from how AI interacts with workflows, decisions, and human behavior. So yeah, understanding these risks will help you use AI safely and responsibly in most professional contexts. Let's start with decision-making errors. AI can generate outputs that look highly plausible and professional, but they may be inaccurate, biased, or incomplete. Imagine an AI tool that summarizes a report, suggests business actions, or even recommends hiring candidates on the surface. Every, on the surface, everything seems correct, but if employees act on these outputs without verification, mistakes can easily slip into critical processes. So these errors can have real consequences, reputational damage, financial loss, or even legal exposure. The key idea, as mentioned in the previous session, AI is only treated as a decision support tool, not a decision maker. Always cross-check outputs, validate recommendations, and ask yourself, does this make sense in the real-world context? This sort of error occurs from AI hallucination, which was mentioned in the previous session as well. It's one of the key limitations of current AI tools as well. So next we have automation risks. Many organizations have integrated AI into workflows to save time, so to reduce repetitive tasks or speed up reporting. So while automation can be incredibly efficient, it also introduces the risk of propagating errors quickly. A small mistake by an AI, for instance, generating an incorrect report or sending a wrong notification, can affect multiple departments, clients, or stakeholders in a very short time. Automation doesn't give errors or a chance to self-correct, so human oversight is absolutely essential. Regular checks, reviews, and approvals are needed to ensure AI-driven workflows don't escalate small mistakes into large operational problems. Finally, consider accountability issues. When AI is used to support decisions or perform automated tasks, it can sometimes become unclear who is responsible when things go wrong. If an AI-generated recommendation leads to a poor business decision or compliance violation, who is accountable? The AI developer, the user, or the organization? Lack of clear accountability can create ethical and legal challenges. So, to prevent this, it's crucial to define ownership of AI-assisted decisions and maintain transparent documentation of how AI outputs are generated and used. Every AI-assisted action should have a clear human in loop who takes responsibility for reviewing, approving, and justifying the outcome. Ultimately, most AI-related risks, whether they involve decision errors, automation failures, bias, hallucination, whatever, they mainly trace back to a single core issue: over-reliance. Trusting AI too much or using it in situations where it shouldn't really be used is the root cause of most problems. The best way to mitigate these risks, therefore, isn't to fear AI, but to use it with intention. Professionals need to develop a clear understanding of when AI adds value and when it doesn't. A good rule of thumb is this: use AI when the outcome is low risk, repetitive, or easily verifiable, and avoid it when the decision carries ethical, legal, or human consequences. So, for example, using AI to generate meeting summaries or initial drafts can save time and improve productivity because the results can be quickly reviewed and corrected. but using AI to interpret patient data, assess employee performance, or approve financial transactions, and without reviewing the outputs is very risky because the cost of error is far higher. By clearly distinguishing between supportive and decisive use, we can prevent AI from stepping beyond its safe limits. Another key mitigation strategy is maintaining human oversight. No matter how sophisticated an AI system seems, it lacks genuine understanding, empathy, and accountability, which is a notion that we've been trying to push throughout this program thus far. Humans must remain the final checkpoint, verifying outputs, applying context, and catching what the system might miss. Similarly, organizations should implement review and approval mechanisms within automated workflows to stop small AI-generated mistakes from spreading. Therefore, it's very important to cultivate a mindset of healthy skepticism. AI tools are persuasive by design. Their confidence can make us believe in their outputs are accurate even when they're not. Hallucination. So learning to pause and question the results is a powerful defense. Ask, does this make sense? Is this consistent with what I know? Is there evidence to support it? This habit of verification transforms AI from something potentially risky into something genuinely empowering. Finally, transparency and boundaries are crucial. Teams should openly discuss how AI is being used, share lessons from mistakes, and agree on clear policies outlining what kinds of data, tasks, and decisions are appropriate for AI support. Encouraging this work culture of awareness keeps everyone aligned and reduces the chance of silent misuse or overdependence. So, in short, the foundation of AI safety is not just about encryption, privacy, or technical controls. It's about discernment. Knowing when to trust AI and when to take back control is the single most effective way to mitigate risk. This was mentioned in previous session, when used thoughtfully, AI becomes a partner that amplifies human capability. When used carelessly or unnecessarily, it can quietly undermine the very systems it was meant to improve. Striking that balance is what responsible, secure, and ethical AI literacy use is all about. So today we've covered a lot, but it all comes down to one key idea. Responsible AI use requires both caution and structure. We began by acknowledging that while AI offers immense speed and efficiency, it introduces a major trust problem. Our discussion focused on two main risk areas: security, protecting data and systems, and ethics, protecting people and fairness. The fundamental security risk is data privacy. When we share sensitive data such as personally identifiable information, confidential financials, or proprietary strategy with public cloud-based AI tools, we lose control over it. The tool logs and store the tool logs and stores its data, creating severe risk of leakage, regulatory violation, and competitive exposure. The solution here is obviously to apply the harm test as mentioned. If sharing the information could cause harm if exposed, it must be redacted or kept off external AI platforms entirely. We then examine operational security, vulnerabilities, including automation exploits when AI mistake propagates quickly through automated workflows. Ethically, the stakes are highest. The Cambridge Analytica case provided a stark reminder of what happens when ethics fail. Informed consent is ignored and opaque algorithms are used to amplify harm. This leads directly to the central challenge of accountability. The machine is never responsible. The human user or organization always is. Therefore, we must keep in track of how and when we are using AI during our workflows. The best defense against all these risks is human discernment, which was talked about in session 2 and now enforced in the current session. Our strategy relies on two pillars: individual oversight, practicing discernment by knowing when AI adds value and when to avoid it. We must always verify outputs and cultivate a mindset of healthy skepticism. Organizations must also implement clear policies that define approved tools, establish accountability frameworks for every AI-assisted decision, and provide continuous training to counter new threats. So just in short, the foundation of safe AI use is just not just technical, it's behavioral. We must use AI with the intention and ensure that the technology always assists human judgment rather than making the decision for us. Thank you.